I want to argue about this, that Joe Rogan saved the world.
I do appreciate that. I'll give him that.
I think that's something that we probably overlook a lot. He's the hero that we need, but we didn't
the
deserve.
dark knight of
He's the
podcasting.
He's the dark knight.
You guys remember a couple weeks ago when I was like, hey, let's do the show, we're recording, and then we weren't?
Yeah.
Can we start over?
What's going on, Aaron?
I forgot to start recording again.
Oh, okay. So is it recording now?
It is recording now.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Thank God.
Anyway, I'm Jake Casey. This is Aaron Stout. We got Amanda French and Aidan Fitzgerald. Amanda, so you're doing the Four-Eyed Comedy Showcase, right?
God.
I am. April 5th at the Plano House of Comedy, 7:30. Aidan is joining me as well.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
And I have Char Barbecue show on the 14th.
What is that?
That's a show that TJ Evan produces.
Oh, nice. I like TJ. It's a good
yeah.
guy. Hey, TJ.
If he watches.
Hey. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm doing due diligence. Give me 10 minutes because I do due diligence. Nah, so it's just his like showcase, and Char Barbecue's bar and barbecue is trying to remember where it is exactly. I think it's like kind of downtown area. I don't remember.
Wait. I feel like I've heard of this.
Isn't it Saxy?
That's right. Yes, that's it. Yeah. So, but that's his local show that he produces with just, and he grabs various local comics to be on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, TJ's a good guy. Tell him I said
Hi and put
something.
me on the
Tell
show.
him I said something.
TJ reminds me of like the ultimate family man. I feel like he's like leading the charge into the water park with his kids and family.
Yeah, he does seem like a family
Very
guy.
strong, like just really charismatic dad vibes.
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, that's true. Is that a compliment or is that? I mean, it's not like
I
an
think he
insult.
would be about it. I mean, he does have kids. I don't know.
okay. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're just saying he's good at his job.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's good. So yeah, that's what I got going on, at least at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
We did it. We got into the show finally.
Yeah. We did it. Here we are. Here we are doing things.
We gotta find another producer. This guy.
Oh,
Whoever's doing this guy.
It's all right. It's all right, Aaron.
It's because Mike isn't here. That's why it didn't go well.
Yeah.
Well,
He
he
always
bailed.
reminds me. He's like, push the button.
I think the problem is none of us, or me and Mike, don't really know what you do, so we just assume you're in control. And now suddenly it's like, I don't know. Maybe
Am I
he's
in
not in
control?
control. Yeah.
Who knows?
Like, is the red light on the camera? Does that tell us anything?
It could be a warning light. It could be.
For what?
Maybe we're not being funny. I don't know.
The camera does not like what we're doing right now.
Yeah. We need to be doing this on Twitch so we can see people's like comments as they come
the
up,
reactions.
and they're like not funny, and we're like, oh, like I should.
So it can be the sad comedy podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
What was
the comedy podcast where we're not funny. Yeah, there you go.
the anti-comedy podcast?
So Amanda, how do you feel? What's the difference between kind of producing and actually being on stage? Can you kind of talk about the difference between those two roles?
I mean,
Well, sorry, I'm going to jump in here for a second. Well, Aaron, they're completely the opposite. They're not the same thing at all. So, as a producer, you put on shows. It's
You
like
have
business.
to hit the record button, don't you?
Yes, it's a business thing, and comedy is not.
But she does both
No.
because she was in the show and she was producing.
Okay.
So.
yes, I do host the show. But yeah, I mean, with the producing, I mean, it's really everything's on you. Like finding the lineup, getting with everyone, getting the headshots, making sure the poster gets set up, advertising, because even though I do want people who are on the show to bring people who might be interested in the show, I'm not trying to make it like you have to, but it's helpful. But as a producer, I feel it's on me to really get out there and advertise and try to get people to come in. So it's a lot of work and just that stress because it's your baby and, you want things to go well and for it to be a good experience for the other comics for sure.
So you have all that stress, and then also you're like, oh, I have to go up and be funny here in a few minutes.
Right, that's true. And then, because I also am producing as an opportunity to give myself hosting opportunities too.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm trying to make sure you're opening the show, bringing people in and having that good transition in between. So it is a lot. If everything goes well and at the end, it can feel so good and relief and like, wow, it happened and it was good and people laughed and it was fun. Getting there, that's challenging.
Do you see yourself doing that for a long time, producing shows?
I guess it just depends on how they go. I'm hoping that this one goes better than the last one just because maybe you have some more experience and so I think it just may depend on that.
Yeah.
Like I actually do have an idea for another show that I want to do called the Chopped Liver Comedy Showcase.
Okay. What is that?
For comics who feel like their whole life that they're chopped liver.
Oh, okay.
Kind of the scraps of comedy, so to speak, which that could
So,
be a
how are you gonna invite people to that? You're like, hey,
We have a bunch of comics who aren't very good. Come see us.
yeah. You're like, hey, Jake, you would be perfect for the show that I have.
Speaking of, you're my headliner, Jake. What's up with that?
You're kind of
Yeah.
a grifter.
The guest of honor, he really exemplifies what the show is all about.
Although I think it's not people who aren't funny; it's people who
Yeah.
maybe get overlooked, though.
I get what you mean, because this is a big scene. There's just so many people, with new people coming in almost every day. So
Yeah.
I could see that being. A good
Have
one.
you ever been like on DFW Comedians, the Facebook page, and you're like, I don't know any of these people?
I mean, if you think about it, I really only know the comics on this side of town, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been to Fort Worth twice, 3 times.
Yeah, I haven't
So-
been. I mean, I met one Fort Worth comic, and that was Ian something, and I'm apologized. He probably won't see this, but I don't remember his name. But he hosts
Is it Ian?
Lola's.
It's not Ian Mack, is it?
It might be Ian
No.
Mack, because I think he hosts Lola's on Sundays. But he's the only Fort Worth specific comic I've met. And I don't know. It is interesting that despite it only being 45 minutes difference, it's like a wall between the two.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's
it?
crazy.
Well, so much of it
It's a huge
happens.
scene.
So much of it happens on the weekdays. All the mics
Oh
on
yes,
weekdays.
absolutely.
I can't
And it's
go
hard to
out there.
justify
Yeah.
being like, wait, I'm gonna get home at like 2 a.m. and I'm gonna just for 5 minutes on stage and all that.
Yeah, personally, yeah. So I'm in the same boat. Like, I have a hard time getting out and doing different things. Like, I'm here every week. I used to go to Comedy Arena some. I have been to DCC some. TK some. But it's like, man, I'm not going to go all the way out to Fort Worth for an open mic. Like, it
Yeah.
seems like a lot of work and driving and everything. It's like, I don't really want to.
I feel that too because there's one in like the Tyler scene's starting to get bigger, but that's 90 minutes away.
Yeah.
And they do have an open mic, but it's on Mondays, and it's like,
like, I
how
can't
can
get
I
out there.
justify
Yeah.
driving 90 minutes?
But at
for-
some point, you have to do that, right? Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to get
So
out
at
there.
some
and-
point, you got to hit the road, right?
Yeah, I think it's about, for me, I'm like, at some point I need to schedule like a little tour, Like, no, I'm not going to do it like all the time.
Like
but
the
just,
Austin scene, especially, there's like that's supposed to be a big scene that I would love to hit up, but that's just again it's 4 hours away. That's even more for it.
Yeah, that's a weekend trip. I feel
That's
like.
definitely weekend. Yeah.
I have a question for you. And this is going to be controversial, so let's tweet about it. Aidan, you're not a big fan of Joe Rogan, but he is the biggest name in the Austin scene. Are you really want to go down to his scene and hang out? Like, what if he sees you and is like,
Wow.
hey, Aidan, I love you, man. You're just like me.
You're
like-
throwing shade at Joe
Wait,
Rogan,
how
our
can-
biggest competitor. How dare you?
How can you not like Joe Rogan?
I don't. He just has this broy energy. It's very. It's borderline toxic masculinity. Like it really goes to the line. And it's just like, oh, we're being really broy, bro, and it's just like, but we'll back it up just enough, just to where people are like we're approachable, but only just.
Sure.
I mean, case in point, he had Jordan B. Peterson on as a guest, who is just a wackadoon whack job in my opinion. So I don't know. And
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
no, you're fine. I'm
You're
just
like, I
I'm
gotta
thinking
defend- I gotta
I'm thinking
defend-
about this through my own self.
So I want to argue about this that Joe Rogan saved the world.
Why is that? I'm curious now. I'm like,
Okay, so for most of like mass media history, right, since TV and radio, we only got like these little sound bites. Politicians and celebrities that got on, they had to fight with the other 4 people to get their words in
Crossfire.
in the
Yeah.
15 seconds, right?
right.
And then you have Joe Rogan come along, who's I guess we would assume that's kind of the king of podcasting, right?
Sure, yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was like, no, people will sit and listen for 3 hours if I have a compelling guest.
Sure.
And so I don't necessarily.
I get what you-
He's saying he expanded the format so we get long form discussions, which is clearly a good thing.
right. I mean, it's not. I don't hate him because like he's had people like Alex Jones on there where he's like, yeah, I don't really agree with you, Alex, but I'll let you have your time and all that. And I guess I do appreciate that. I'll give him that. I'll give him his flowers in that. Yes, he does give people. If you have you have the following, I will give you the platform to voice what you're going to say, whether I agree with it or not.
The example I use for this is like Bernie Sanders. My impression of Bernie Sanders was just some guy who's on TV that screams about unfairness. Oh, this. Oh.
Sure. Sound bites, yeah.
Right. But after listening to him talk for an hour on Joe Rogan, I was like, oh, he makes some really good points.
Right. So you're able to like actually get to know people. And so like I think that's something that we probably overlook a lot because now it's so normal to have long form discussions. That like, did Joe Rogan really popularize that?
I mean,
that sounds
'cause-
right to me.
I mean,
don't
I
really
wouldn't
know.
be surprised. I'm sure there's someone out there who could because YouTube now is like long form content makes huge explosions. Like people want to see the deep dive into everything.
Sure, yeah.
They're like, oh, I'll watch a 3-hour video on the history of a show I used to watch or something.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I could see that.
I think that's a good. Here we go. Here we are right now. Aidan made a point, which I think has a lot of validity, and then Aaron comes back and is like, "Hey, counterpoint," which also has validity. And look, it's all civil, and it's because of Joe Rogan that we can do this today.
So you're saying we don't deserve him? We did not deserve Joe Rogan.
He's the hero that we need, but we didn't deserve.
The dark knight of podcasting.
He's the dark knight.
So I have some DMT and some mushrooms for everyone.
Oh, Lord.
Not really.
Now we can really get the podcast going.
Do you guys listen to a lot of long form stuff? Do you ever listen to any podcasts, Amanda? What do you consume? What kind of stuff do you like?
You know, I have a really short attention span these days.
TikTok, yeah.
So I really watch a lot of sitcoms. I'm a big sitcom person.
Yeah.
And I don't like to watch any movie that's more than an hour and a half.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. Why, like, you can tell, like, if you're watching a really good movie that's more than an hour and a half, you're like, I'm tired of this. Like, is it about hour and a half, or is it just, like, generally?
Around an hour and a half.
Yeah, okay.
Like, because a lot of movies, if I see that a movie's like 2.5 hours, I'm not so likely to actually start watching it.
Yeah.
Or if I do, I watch it in 2 parts.
Okay.
Interesting. So you're saying that, like, let's say, what's a really long movie?
I mean,
I watched
Everything Everywhere at Once is like 2 hours. At
I
least.
was talking to myself, guys. Would you just okay? So I'm just kidding. Whatever. I'm a nice guy, guys. I watched All Quiet on the Western Front the other day. It was fantastic. I loved it. I don't know if y'all were into war movies. It was really, really good, but it was really, really long, and I enjoyed the whole thing. But like, you're saying that even if it's a movie that you really, really like, if it's really long, you're like, you don't.
It
You're
feels-
just like, you get fidgety. Is that what happens?
I do.
Okay,
It's really
interesting.
difficult.
A good example of a long movie I watched, it was borderline 3.5 hours, and I was spellbound from beginning to end in a language I did not speak, and I don't even know if the subtitles were necessarily correct, but throughout the entire movie, I was just glued to the TV, and that was RRR, which was the big Indian movie that a lot of people got into, and that movie was ridiculously long.
Yeah, have y'all seen RRR? It's in Hindi. It's kind of like a superhero.
Yeah, it's basically
It's not a superhero movie.
It's a Bollywood movie that basically takes two giant. It's not only giants and Hindu philosophy, like Hindu mythology. It's like giants behind and in front of the camera. Apparently, the 3 R's are supposed to be. I don't know if it's directors. It's somebody who. These 3 people are huge in Bollywood, and for the 3 of them to come together to make this movie.
So the 2 main actors and then the director. Is that who you're talking about?
I believe. I'm not. Don't quote me on it. I'm not sure, but if you look it up, RRR stands for 3 guys' names who came together to make this movie, and they were already huge in their own rights, and then came and made this epic.
So just so y'all know, it was very, very good. I did get a little Amanda
Fidgety.
E in the 3 movies. Yeah, can I say Amanda E for fidgety?
Amanda.
Amandish.
Amandish. I got a little Amandish in the 3-hour movie. I could have done 2 hours. I think 2 hours, but like a little bit,
If you were in the editing room with that man, you'd be like, "Hey, man, I mean,
yeah,
the tiger
it was
scene's
good.
awesome,
It was,
but
it was
like-
definitely good, but I was like, all right, come on.
I kind of feel like 90 minutes. You need like an intermission.
yeah." I mean, honestly, every time I go watch, I like on the IMAX, they'll bring back 2001: A Space Odyssey back into theaters. And that was in the 60s. And in the 60s, they actually would do that. Like, if there was these big, long movies, they would do intermissions about halfway through.
I remember that there's some movies like that.
Well, that's what it sounds like you do at home. You're just like, all right, that's enough for tonight. We'll finish it
I
later.
mean, even at the opera, right? In opera, they'll at least have one intermission. If it's longer, they might even have 2.
I mean, I have nothing against that, right? Like I watch TV shows and then I turn it off and then I turn it back on. Like, why? I could do the same thing with a movie. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix will even keep up with where you're at, right? All the streaming
No big deal.
platforms.
Yeah.
Some shows are literally each episode is basically a flipping movie.
I think it's in Netflix too that they have a section 90-minute movies.
Oh, okay, yeah. Interesting. So, like, clearly they've done their research and they know that there's a lot of people that really like the shorter movies.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
in,
sure.
in general, your attention span lasts about 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Is
why.
that like scientific?
I mean, that's why
Interesting.
most comedy
I saw it on Joe Rogan.
shows. Yeah, I mean,
You saw it on Joe Rogan.
I mean,
what
that's-
do you think about that, Aidan?
well, how dare Joe Rogan be like that? Because he did it, I hate it. No, that's why most comedy shows, when they program it, the sweet spot is about 2 hours.
Yeah.
You really don't want to go past that. And I haven't been a part of it, but I've had friends who produced a show and they said it's already like past 90 minutes, and they're like, you should do 30 minutes. He's like, I really don't want to, but I will if you really want me to.
So, like, that makes sense to me. What you guys are saying makes sense, but clearly there's a whole market of people out there that are spending way more time being entertained, right? Like, we know it's a problem with everyone obsessed with their phones and whatever. It just seems like maybe we need a different form.
It makes me curious because podcasts can be really long, and I think reason podcasts can be longer. Some can be up to 3 hours long. If you just have that in the background, you can be sort of tuning in and out of it, or you're just doing other things while you're just listening to it. So it's not like
I'm a fan of that.
Yes.
Right. Is that how you are with your shows, Amanda, or is it like?
I mean, most of the time when I am at home, I am multitasking.
Yeah.
Being on the computer and watching.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually end up watching way more mediocre movies than movies I actually want to watch because I'm sitting in front of the TV on the couch working or something on my computer.
And you just want the background
And I'm like,
noise.
I don't want to watch that really good movie. I want to watch like something that's not bad, but it's like it's pretty good.
You're like The Last of Us. Let's not put that on.
Yeah,
Let's put on freaking Fuller House.
Exactly,
or
because then I
whatever.
don't have to pay attention
Right.
the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Combine two
There's some
mediocre
movies
shows
you have to
into
really
one,
pay
as
attention
it should
to.
be done.
Yeah. What's up, Fuller House?
I
Yeah, we
said
had a
Fuller
total-
House, and it's okay. This was our moment. You don't get to
okay.
have this.
Side conversations are great for podcasts.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, people love this stuff.
4 people talking at once.
Yeah. So anyway, what sitcoms have you been watching? What are you into? Like you said, you like sitcoms and you like movies that are
movie.
movies that are a little shorter.
Yeah, I mean, I watch some, I end up watching a lot of old sitcoms, actually, like News Radio. We were talking about Joe Rogan earlier.
Okay.
Just Shoot Me show. You know, I watch a lot of
God.
stuff
Just
like
Shoot Me.
that.
Yeah.
But kind of a variety, even like Moesha. I mean, like there's a lot of
Moesha.
different
Man, this
types
is
of
like
shows.
well back to the 90s,
But I also,
man.
but if you talk about like a newer show that I watch, that my husband and I actually got to watching together is Kung Fu. Have anyone seen
Never
Kung
heard
Fu
of
on
it.
the
I
CW?
have no idea what this is.
It's really good. It's a Chinese family, but it's a lot of kind of mystical and kung fu
Is
and
it
like
in English? Is it like?
yeah, it's in
Okay.
English, but like the main person is a woman, so there's a lot of female power in it. But it's,
The idea of like, oh, you can't do this, and she's like, I
and
can.
you have,
and,
I mean,
yeah,
she's
that's
like,
awesome.
but she's like a hero, and other characters that support as well. But it's a lot of action and just kind of mystical, kind of interesting story, magical kind of
So like
aspects to
you,
it.
you seem like maybe you've got a lot of deep cuts in terms of the shows that you watch. Like I have not heard of this or the first one you said something else. I don't know. I've heard
she
of
said,
Just Shoot Me.
She said Moesha was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, News Radio. You've
News
never
Radio.
watched
Never
News-
heard of it.
With Joe Rogan is in News Radio.
Okay.
Oh,
I remember
and,
Fear Factor.
Dave
Paul
Foley.
Hartman?
Dave Foley. Phil
I don't know who-
Phil Hartman.
Who are these people?
You don't-
I only
Phil
know.
Hartman.
No.
I know Phil Hartman
His
a
wife.
little bit.
His
yeah.
wife killed him really tragically, and you don't.
Well, Jake's about 10 years younger than you and I are.
I was gonna say, I think Jake and I are like, if I say Parks and Rec, he's like, oh yeah, I've
Yeah,
watched
Parks and
that.
Rec. Yeah. I mean, The Office is better. Parks and Rec was good. It was
hard-
good.
hard
Parks and Rec-
disagree, hard
that's-
disagree.
That's fine. I have no problem with Parks and Rec. It's very good. I like The Office better, and it seems like it's kind of a Seinfeld Friends thing, where like they're both good,
Yeah.
but some people prefer Seinfeld, some people
Yeah.
prefer
Well,
Friends.
and I would
It's
say
fine.
Seinfeld and Friends are definitely two of my favorites as well. And I think I'm with you. I think I like Parks and Rec a little bit better
Then
than
if
The
I'm gonna
Office,
go Seinfeld, I don't like Seinfeld or Friends, but I do like Frasier, which
Right,
is
you've
but-
got
Oh
to go.
yeah, I love.
get out of here. We
Frasier's
hate
great.
Frasier.
No, Frasier is great. My husband used to give me a hard time for watching Frasier. He's like, "Can't we watch something else?" But now he finally has realized how good it is, and now he
Yeah.
watches it on his own.
Well, because
Nice.
I think
Nice.
people don't like Frasier because on a cursory glance, it's like, oh, it's these snobby Seattleites. They're just like, oh, isn't this
I
awful?
wonder if it-
and then it's like,
yeah.
wait, this is parody. And it's like, oh, now.
Yeah, I wonder if it has a problem with being relatable, like hooking people. Where, yeah, like what you're saying, like people feel put down maybe because
Right.
these,
It's
fancy
snobby,
people.
yeah.
and then you get into it, and then you're like, oh wait, actually, it is relatable, and
because they're
yeah.
being idiots, and like the relatable characters like stop being
Yeah.
snobby idiots, and like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like we end up watching Frasier like almost all the time because we watch sometimes Antenna TV, Cozy TV, and it comes on every night at 7. So.
Okay. Nice. Interesting. Yeah. So I'm wondering if there's like someone's probably done an analysis of this. Like what shows that like are your favorite in like groups of shows? Like for instance,
Right.
Office versus Parks and Rec.
yeah.
Are the people who like one or the other, are they more likely to like a different show? Like I would say if you what's up, Al? If you like Seinfeld more than Friends, you're probably more likely to watch The Office over Parks and Rec, just because I think Seinfeld and The Office are a little meaner
So
than Friends and Parks and Rec, and
And-
maybe that's what you like more.
But that doesn't fit me.
Okay.
I feel like I would see people who like The Office maybe would like Seinfeld more, whereas Parks and Rec maybe would
I
lean.
can see that.
I
Yeah.
could see that. That feels more in vibe.
But I'm a Seinfeld person, but yet I would prefer Parks and Recreation over The Office. But
So I like them both.
I'm kind of different.
I mean, yeah, I think we all are saying we
yeah.
like them both,
Yeah.
but
They are
you
both
always have
awesome.
something you prefer
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit more. You know,
I've certainly watched more Parks and Rec than The Office. Like,
Okay.
I don't seek out The Office very much.
interesting.
I feel
I
like-
could watch The Office a billion times. That show is so. Here's the deal. I love Seinfeld. Seinfeld was like my first sitcom that I loved, like I was obsessed with. The Office is just so fun. I don't. It's
Yeah.
like Seinfeld. Sometimes I'm like, okay,
It's
you
very.
guys are jerks. You
I
know?
feel like
The Office
Seinfeld is like almost too mean spirited for its own
sometimes,
good.
yeah, it can be.
And
Like
I think that was the point of the show, though, right?
I agree.
It
That
was.
is
It
100%.
was.
But it, like nowadays, like obviously it was coming up in like the 80s and 90s when like that kind of snark was like in vogue. Whereas nowadays people are like, well, that kind of comes off as phony or just.
But
kinda
what The
try
Office,
hard.
I think, did is they provided. I think they scratched that same itch in terms of like it's like whatever. It's awkward. It's like, oh, this is an awkward situation.
feels
you know?
like something you could be in real life, possibly.
Yeah, but it's also it's so like the characters are so endearing. Whereas in
Right.
Seinfeld, I love Seinfeld, but there's never this moment where it's like, oh, I love these guys. It's always like, no, we're not doing
You're
that.
like, if I met these people in real life, I would hate them.
Yeah.
I would never want to be friends with
exactly.
them.
Where The Office, it's like, yeah, Michael Scott is like,
yeah.
he's like an idiot, but it's like, he's like a nice,
Yeah.
he's my idiot,
For
Never
sure.
feel like that about
That's
George.
kind of comedy in general, right? Like we always go up and self-deprecating humor always lands, right?
Yeah.
I don't say always, but most of the time.
That's something that I feel like I've been learning. I definitely enjoy meaner humor, and it's something I've been trying to get better at. It's like, man, you got to endear yourself to the audience, and that's how you appeal to everyone, right? Like
Yeah. What's
you can
yeah.
still do things that are edgier and also find a way to endear yourself. And like, we're all in this together. I'm not just, like I don't know if you guys watch like Curb Your Enthusiasm or like
Yeah.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, I
like
love it. It's Always
sometimes I'm just
Sunny.
like, man, all right, I don't,
I feel like
I don't
it's
like
always
you guys.
so like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I guess haven't seen a lot of it to really know the true difference. But for me, I like It's Always Sunny because yes, they are truly terrible. They are awful people that they probably shouldn't be allowed to do what they do.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're just dumb enough that you're like, well, maybe they don't really know better.
No, and
Whereas Cuba's Your Enthusiasm, he's an absolute asshole. And
Yeah.
you're like, he knows he's being a dick every step of the way.
And I agree, right? I'm just saying in terms of like trying to appeal to as many people as possible. There's a balance
That line-
between being
that line is
endearing
so-
and
yeah.
pushing, and you gotta
Right.
figure out how to be endearing. I think is a way to get
Yeah,
more
what's
people to
interesting
like
because
you.
my friend Glenn, what he does dark and not very bright humor.
Yeah.
But what he'll always do is, especially if it's a small show where he's like we did a show in Forney together with George Red, and we get there and it's a Valentine's Day show, and George had said, oh, in the past this has been a well-attended show. It should be a good time. We get there, nobody, maybe 10 people, plus us comics. So what he does is he goes and chats up the bar patrons. Not because he's a bit sociable person regardless, but the reason he does that is this is endearing him to them. So when he goes up and does this material, they aren't seeing a weird creep talking about weirdness. It's just, oh, this is the dude I talked to a few minutes ago. He's cool.
I don't know if you remember this from Dean, or if he said this in Dean Lewis's class. I took his class, a great class, by the way, I take it. And that was one thing he was like, if you get the opportunity, go and seat guests before a show, talk to people, like get to know people, because they'll treat you more like a friend telling jokes on stage if you've gotten to know them.
But what if you're afraid of people unless you have a microphone and stage lights in your face?
And that's probably something you need to get work through.
Then you need to have a rig. You have like this utility belt where it's all strapped to you, and you walk up to them and they're afraid of you, and you say, don't worry, I'm trying to make you like me, and you walk them to your table. And
So
everything.
be Batman?
Yes, be Batman. People love Batman. Well, certain people love Batman.
Some people, not the criminals. The criminals do not like Batman.
No, so you just tell them like, hey, as long as you're not a criminal, you should like me. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't think about that too much.
What do y'all think about the show Community?
I watched a few episodes.
It's
Didn't-
a weird.
didn't hook
It's
me.
in this weird
Wow.
middle spot. It's
Wow.
the middle spot.
I
for
am-
me.
I hadn't actually got into that one
I
yet.
am appalled
Okay.
and frustrated.
I will. No.
the
Listen,
best show.
I will say this. I love it because it gave Donald Glover his spots where he could like shoot off. That's where I do love it.
So
for that.
okay, let's go around. So Amanda, you have not seen Community.
Right.
You haven't seen it. Like
have
you know
not.
what it is. You just
I
never
do
seen
know
it.
what it is.
You haven't tried it at all.
I just
Not
haven't
even
got
taste.
around to it. Yeah.
Okay. Aidan,
I've
you've
s-
tried it.
I've seen a decent chunk of season
Like
one.
you started. Okay.
Maybe
season
let's
one.
call it like 6-7 episodes. Let's
Okay.
call it around
And
there.
Aaron, what's going on in the community with you?
Man, I don't know. I watched a few episodes and it just didn't. Nothing hooked me.
Okay.
And
I'm just gonna say it right now. That show is awesome. That show
typically,
is awesome. They balance. They walk that line of being edgy but also really endearing incredibly well.
yeah, I
It's
don't like to watch a
amazing.
lot of TV in general, though.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a
Can I get you
good
to
that's a
put your
good
mic
thing.
up?
But
Like closer to your face.
yeah,
That's
here.
a good thing though. Like I mean, obviously, there's so much good content out there, but it's like
Right.
I would rather not. I mean, I do want to watch it, but it's like
yeah.
I'm wasting all my
So
time
then,
watching
like, that brings my question. So, does everybody here watch The Last of Us? Then that
TV. I'm watching The Last of
I'm
Us.
2 episodes in.
2 episodes in. Okay, how are
Amanda?
you feeling about that one?
You're not watching The Last of Us?
Is that the one that's on HBO or something?
It's
Or-
a zombie show with Pedro Pascal and
Yeah.
Bella Ramsey.
Is it on HBO or
It's
Apple?
it's HBO,
It's on
yeah.
HBO.
Yeah.
Have you heard of The Last of Us?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so there's a video game, really highly regarded. I don't know. Are you into zombie shows? It's kind of like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I mean, zombies aren't really quite my thing.
I would say you might like this one just because the zombies take a decent backseat, both in game and in the show. They're there, but it's really
about the human
It's
element,
really
yeah.
about what they go through as people. Less, it is depressing. I will. That is something that if you don't like depressing TV, it's depressing with an edge of happiness. Usually, that's how it kind of goes.
I like it because I find fungal zombies more believable than viral zombies, I guess.
Yeah, I could
Interesting.
see that.
Why? What? Can you explain the science behind that, Aaron?
No.
Well,
can't.
Why
I'll
would
try
you-
my best to, because like the show does a wonderful job. Is when you episode 1, I'll explain it to Amanda, is that they show this woman. She's at some science symposium, and they ask her. They're talking about fungal organisms, and they said, "Oh yeah, they don't survive above. I think it's like 60 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that. It's a very medium temperature." But humans run at like 98. And they said, so what would happen at one point somebody asked what would happen if they evolved to be able to survive at higher temperatures? Would we be able to do anything to actually stop this? And she would say, if that were to ever happen, you need to just start praying. And even at one point, they find the first person who gets infected. And when she comes back in, they say, what should we do? She just says, bomb the entire city, just wipe the city off the face of the earth.
Yeah,
I
you're not
guess-
gonna stop it.
I guess I feel like
it's
with-
really compelling. You should check it out. If you're into, it's not that horrific, but it is on the horror side.
There is
for
gore,
sure.
but it's like
It's not horrible.
There will be scenes of gore, but that's maybe 5 minutes versus
It's not a horror show, but
Yeah.
it is more horror.
I agree. I agree. with that.
I guess I feel like with all the talk about psychedelic therapy, I'm more likely to believe that fungus is sentient than viruses are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so to be fair,
I
there.
don't understand what you're saying at all.
So
You're
what
saying-
he's-
you're saying because we consume mushrooms for psychedelic purposes, that means that mushrooms would be more likely to take
So-
over our
Well, I mean,
brains.
viruses are.
What if the whole thing's an allegory for drugs?
What
it's
if it
like,
is?
oh, you took mushrooms and now you're a zombie.
Right. Well, like viruses are technically not alive.
Not
right?
living.
Right.
Well, so there is an ant that if I can't remember what the fungus is called, there's a fungus that will infect ants. Not to kill them. Very much I'm assuming this is what the game and the show took inspiration from, because there is a fungus that will infect ants. Not to kill them, but to take over them, and they walk around and do the things they do, not
Interesting.
because they want to, but because the
Greg
fungus.
Catapoti. Greg Catapoti.
Nature is so metal. Have you?
We're trying real hard.
Thank you so much, Greg. Greg roasting us. Classic Greg.
Love to have you on, Greg. Love you.
Yeah, do y'all ever worry about like stuff like this? Like, so I think they do a really good job in the show of saying like, oh yeah, this horrific scenario we're talking about, zombies,
right.
is actually possible scientifically. So, do y'all ever sit up at night and like worry about stuff like that taking over the world? Or like y'all go down like I go down like Reddit rabbit holes, and I love hearing things that make me scared. Right, so I'll go find a Reddit thread that's like, oh, what's the creepiest thing you've ever seen? And it like people talking about it and like, oh, this is crazy. Y'all ever do that? You ever do that, Amanda?
I do not.
You never,
As
you don't like,
some-
do you not like creepy?
I'm not. Yeah, like horror movies aren't really my favorite genre. So it's like I'm not really one of those people who like, yeah, I really want to be scared.
Okay.
You know, like I don't seek it out.
Yeah.
If it finds me, that's one thing.
But you kind of have that in your normal day-to-day life with the work that you do, right? I mean, you know, the private investigating, that's kind of not a happy thing in general, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like, I don't know if scary is the right word, but like, I mean, sometimes I'm like exposed to some dark kind of things. So I guess maybe that's one reason why I like comedy and
I think that's a really good point.
The balance,
like whenever you're exposed to like how horrible the world is regularly, like you're like, I'm gonna get away from this.
I guess for me, I do love horror. I like weird, like I don't usually like the deep, like the only horror I don't really like is demonic horror, just because it's been done so much.
Okay.
But I love like, so what's his name? He did The Thing. Why am I forgetting his name?
John Carpenter.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I like horror.
Like
Joe Rogan.
Oh yes,
Okay.
Joe Rogan, famous director of The Thing.
Aaron, come on, get out of here.
But no, like
guy.
he pushed, like I always find it interesting that a lot of the movie techniques that we love so much, it finds its base usually in horror, because horror is usually cheap to make. Well, I shouldn't say cheap. It's because they get no budget, so they have to do
heard this,
innovative things to make the movie happen. And then other movies see that cool thing, like, dang, that looks cool. Let's put that in our regular movie. And that's usually why.
So
I like horror.
Aidan, that is so much. That is exactly who I think your personality is. You're like, yeah, I enjoy movies because of the innovation and the way that it cascaded into later movies.
I mean, to be fair, my favorite movie this past year was Everything Everywhere at Once, which literally was the probably most like just like, how does this movie exist and why does it exist and why do I love it so much?
I'll check that out. I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my radar to see
it's
it.
definitely good.
I strongly encourage you to watch it, even if you do it in chunks, which it's fine. I totally understand if you have to.
I love this though, Amanda. Now, like watching things in chunks. Like, do you do other things in chunks? Where you like, I don't know, you like eat in
Exercise.
chunks and
I try to eat smaller meals throughout the day.
you like brush your teeth in chunks. You're like, this side. All right, later I'll do the next side. You know.
Read half a page, be like, all right, maybe I'll come back to this in a minute.
I mean, I do that all the time.
That's true. Well, with reading, some books, like I don't just sit and read a book straight through a lot of times. It's more like I'll read it like if I'm at the doctor's or if I'm at therapy or something while I need something to kill time. So in a way, I do that in chunks because it's like, okay, it might take me 3 months to read the book because I'm only reading it.
I use the library because I get basically I've learned that I get really bored of books, right? So like I'll read like 25 pages and then I'm like, I want to read this, but I'm tired of it right now. So I have like 9 books checked out at any given time.
Wow.
And I just like whichever one I feel like doing it whenever. Actually, I've recently learned I have ADHD and this is a good strategy. Thank you, Aaron.
As you're about to destroy his equipment.
And this is a really good strategy for people with ADHD is have a bunch of things you want to do. And then so instead of trying to force yourself to do one of those things, you pick which one you want to do at any given time, and then you're less likely to just get bored and then quit.
This sounds like my job.
Yeah, no, seriously.
No,
At work it helps. Where I'm like, this thing, I'll do this other thing. You know, it works.
I mean, it depends on the book for me. Like if I'm reading like nonfiction books, I'll have multiple of those open just because those are not the most like readable books most of the time.
Okay.
But for like fiction books, like I'm going through Dune right now. And I'll read those before bed usually because it'll kind of relax me and put me more into sleep.
Like Dune will relax you.
I know. I say that as I'm talking about
about the worms.
Probably the most esoteric philosophical sci-fi books have been written in our past time.
Oh, it relaxes you because you're bored and you're like, I didn't read that whole page. I don't know. I guess I'll go to sleep.
I guess
now.
I don't. I'm sure it's something about like, oh, your eyes are moving X amount of times. Your body's like, wow, that's a lot of work to move eyes, so I don't like that, so let's go to bed.
Nice.
Hey, to be honest with you guys, I read and write all day long at my job, and when 5 o'clock hits the day, I'm like, I'm done.
Wait,
I'm done
you
reading.
read all day long?
Well, I don't actually do any
you mean
like
like
I argue
emails.
what
Yeah.
he's saying because we like working in tech, you have to read stuff all the dang time, and
I'm
it's
always
boring.
reading white papers, manuals, emails, tickets. just
I read Python. Is that?
That is reading. That is
I guess
reading.
so. Yeah. Do you do a lot of reading, Amanda?
I really don't do a lot,
Yeah.
except for if it's just like, scrolling on the computer with
It's such a
stuff.
slow input method, right?
So actually, here's something, and I want y'all's opinion on this. Okay, so in society, there is this idea that if you're smart, you read books, right? But that it's just kind of something that we've inherited from the past where books were the way that you learn things. Now you have so many different ways you can learn things. Is reading actually that important anymore?
Until 100 years ago, that's the only way you could get information.
Yeah,
there was
exactly.
no TV, radio. You could on the
so
telegram.
now you could say, I listen to the radio all the time, and you're like, that's just as good as reading.
I would say reading has its place because certainly staring at a screen all day isn't good for you. So I'd say reading still has its place. But at the same time, again, we have audio formats now where they didn't have before.
Yeah.
And so if you don't want to directly read something, it's most likely in an audiobook, and you can just listen to that throughout your day and still absorb the information.
Or anything else, like radio, TV.
Or
like you can learn a ton from TV.
Or
right?
documentaries for sure, yeah.
Right? What do you think, Amanda? Is that how you learn?
Sorry. My allergies are killing me.
Yeah, that's mine too. I've had a sore throat just like for like weeks. It's
Man,
like I don't know.
One of the things that my parents did really well for me is I got allergy shots as a kid, right? And I hated it the entire time. I had to go to the doctor once a week, get a shot in the arm, my entire childhood. And now as an adult, nothing bothers me.
You don't have any allergies?
Not even with this big old dust. Well, we didn't have a dust storm, but apparently West Texas did, and for some reason that affects us.
Because of climate.
I know.
Everything's connected, Aidan. It's science.
That's why we're gonna get. This is why Dallas will become a wet and dry season. That's what's gonna happen to our region.
But yeah, no, face covered in pollen, no issues.
So you're saying because I have allergies, and it's not only not horrible, but every once in a while I'm just like, gosh, this is terrible, right? So you're saying I can go to the doctor and they can just give me shots and I won't have allergies anymore?
You have to take shots for like 10 years over the course of your life.
So you're telling me it's like Zyrtec, but you get stabbed in the arm for 10 years?
10 years.
It was a whole course and cycle of it was. But I also was like in the hospital for pneumonia and stuff as a kid.
Oh yeah, no, my dad had pneumonia. I think I think he was doing allergy shots for a while, but he's had pneumonia I think twice, and they told him like, you really shouldn't get it a third time. So
I almost failed kindergarten because I was out of school so much.
Pneumonia is it's no joke.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, this sounds bad.
This turned dark.
It
Amanda,
did get dark.
What's your health problem that you want to talk about? Because we got health problems going on.
Iron Man.
I got lots of health problems. I have this thing, hereditary hemochromatosis, where I just absorb too much iron. But I also have like this thing. It's called, if I'm saying it right, I think it's nociplastic pain, and it's this third way of identifying pain that they can't really figure out the source of, and like X-rays and different things like that. But it causes a lot of issues. Like I'm in pain all the time, and like when I broke my ankle, I'm going to have pain from that because that healing. My body loves holding on to pain. So I'm just so lucky, Like,
my brain.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
It sounds like fibromyalgia, but not like mild, horrible.
And there's like a lot of things to like connect with it, like fibromyalgia, IBS, sensory stuff. Like I'm real sensitive to noise and lights and different things. Like there's a whole course of that. It like affects everything.
Okay.
Like, and it's, I kind of want to dig into it more just because it also affects me being more social, because a lot of times I might seem antisocial, but it's really just I'm dealing with pain and different
Have you
issues.
tried drugs? I don't want to like,
They've always worked for me.
Drugs are pretty good with pain.
I'm not a big drug person, but I am trying a new supplement, alpha lipoic acid.
Yeah, okay.
And so I've just been doing that for maybe a week or two, and I'm going to see how that goes.
That sounds awful. I cut my thumb real bad one time, so that was
the only thing I've had bad was I feel like I'm starting to get carpal tunnel now. Like this wrist starts to get like these fingers start to get numb and all that. And I'm like, I bought like a special brace and everything. I even was wearing it at work, and somebody said, "Oh, what happened?" And I said, "Nothing. I have carpal tunnel." And they said, "You're too young to have that." And I said, "Well." So tell my body that I would love not to have it.
When you're on the 4-Eye show, will you be wearing the brace as well?
I might as well. I mean, I might as well go for the whole. I might as well go for the whole kit and
just
caboodle.
make it like everyone become as handicapped as you can. You know, like that's the show.
Not disrespectfully, like make sure it's something you actually have,
like something real. Yeah, you're like, I got carpal tunnel, and you know.
I was talking about filling out the nerd geek look, right?
Yeah, I was actually gonna wear like because I have like various Sonic the Hedgehog shirts, and I was just like,
Nice.
might as well just nerd out hard on that one.
You have Sonic the Hedgehog shirts?
Multiple Sonic the Hedgehog shirts. Yeah,
I mean, Sonic's cool. I like Sonic.
Do you have any gold rings?
he does have rings. He got bling. He got bling in that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more of a Mario guy.
Yeah,
Right, Nintendo.
Yeah,
I mean, look, like I like Sonic.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Sonic, but like Nintendo, they blew it out of the water with the cool characters, right? Like,
yeah. I guess they did pretty good.
oh, okay, Name.
I do understand.
other
I do.
iconic
I agree.
characters.
Sega got one really good one, and
They
then
tried hard.
Everything else is like, this is good, but you only got the one boy.
I love Aidan because he is very contrarian, and then you call him out, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, I was being an idiot. I'm sorry."
See,
I don't
so
know.
if I was a basic astrology person, they'd say, "Oh, that's the Libra coming out of
The
me."
Libra coming-
But I don't
even
give
know
a
what
damn
that
about
means.
astrology.
I don't know Latin, so
It's not Latin; it's astrology.
I don't know. It sounds Latin to me.
No, because
What are you, Amanda? What's your sign?
Cancer.
Cancer.
I
Wait,
mean, isn't that obvious? Like,
I have no idea. I don't know. This is a whole world that I'm not a part of.
You didn't
I'm
have a
just saying-
girlfriend that said, I'm an Aquarius.
No, my gemstone is sapphire. Is that my birthstone?
Mine's
That's your
opal.
birthstone.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Okay. I don't know anything about Aaron. What
Do
about?
you
what
know
about your
anything
world?
about astrology?
Yeah, I'm a T-Rex.
You're into what?
I'm a T-Rex.
You're a T-Rex.
Yeah.
T-Rex, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
I don't.
Did you guys hear? Okay, is this? I can't get a straight answer on this. Y'all know the long neck dinosaur, right?
Okay.
Brontosaurus.
Oh yeah,
Brontosaurus.
yeah.
I heard that they're not real. Have y'all heard this? I heard that they were like people put bones together and like they must be like this, and then later people were like, no, that's made up. These aren't real. Y'all don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like the further back in time we go, the more sketchy things get. Like
Yeah.
this-
My guess-
our margin for error, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think what happened is what the names they picked, like so Jurassic Park, for example.
Yeah.
They said Velociraptor, and they made the thing like this flippin' tall.
Yeah.
But in reality, they were much shorter and actually had feathers. There's a lot of like details that were either
Okay,
admitted
so you're
or
saying that popular media messed it up and not science.
right. Like science did name these things, but then movie or popular media would change it to make it like,
Okay.
oh, we want a cooler thing.
That's fair because I'm realizing all of my dinosaur knowledge comes from movies. So that Land Before Time, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
What are other dinosaur movies?
Well,
There's not
next,
enough
so-
dinosaur movies. They should make more of them.
They make one like every year.
Do they?
There's
How
another
many-
Jurassic Park movie.
There was a
Yeah,
knockoff.
there's so many Jurassic
right?
Park movies.
Yeah, but it's
for
all
sure.
one franchise.
There was literally no. There was a knockoff when Jurassic Park came out called Carnosaur, and you don't
Carnosaur.
Yes, that sounds like I'm making that up off the top of my head. No, that was literally a movie from I think the late '80s, early '90s.
I kind of love it. Actually, at first I was like, "That's horrible," and now I'm like, "Carnivore, carnosaur," right? Like,
Yes.
I don't know. It's like it's gonna eat
clever.
you. It's that's as good as it gets. I can't think of any better naming convention than that.
There's what's it called?
But you pulled out a deep cut though. You're
No,
like,
I got
"Oh, yeah,
another-
there's lots of them.
No.
Carnosaur.
There's another. I mean, B movies got lots of D cups.
Yeah,
There's
B movies. Now what's the okay,
I know.
Amanda?
I was trying to think of any.
Yeah. What's a famous non-Jurassic Park, non-Land Before Time dinosaur movie?
I haven't come up with it yet.
Is Godzilla a dinosaur?
Kinda. I can.
Or a giant lizard.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's not really because he comes from outer space. I think.
well,
I don't really
King
know this.
Ghidorah does. King Ghidorah comes from outer space.
I have no clue what you're talking about, but I
The
don't think.
three-headed dragon doesn't matter.
I don't think Godzilla counts because he's not considered a dinosaur. He's just like some reptilian monster thing.
Right.
Is there's got to be what's the third biggest dinosaur movie franchise?
Barney and Friends.
Probably Barney. Probably
Barney.
Barney. Probably
Barney is. Yeah, Barney is a dinosaur.
Or what was the one? Oh, that was Dragons, wasn't it? The one where they're like,
Game of Thrones, yeah.
well, there's not Game of Thrones. I was thinking of the kids show, but Game of Thrones too. That works.
What? Okay, Amanda, come up with it right now. You got it. You
Come
got
up
5
with
seconds.
it right now.
5 seconds to come up with a dinosaur franchise.
My brain doesn't work like that these days.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, Aiden's gonna cheat.
Like after the
I'm
show's
gonna
over, I'll
cheat.
come up with it.
Yeah. After you see it, yeah.
We
Nice.
are.
But
We
surely
are
there has to be
45
something.
minutes into this.
Yeah, I got a timer.
We literally got 1 minute according to my phone.
Oh, 7:29.
Yeah.
Show has to end at 7:30. Because
We don't have a game to play.
Oh yeah, we didn't need a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
All
too
right.
late. We don't have a 1 minute game anyway. All right, what's the game? Here we go. I got a game really, really fast. And next, we're going to play a game. All right, guys. As fast as you can. Name a dinosaur movie franchise that isn't Jurassic Park, Barney, or Land Before Time.
Oh my god.
Aaron Stout, you're on the clock.
Sharks versus dinosaurs.
No, Aiden, you're on the clock.
That one.
You were cheating.
He's cheating.
Come on.
Amanda, okay, you can do it, Amanda. Now, Amanda, if you can get one, anything, it doesn't have to be good. As long as you get anything, you'll steal all their points.
I mean, I know this isn't right, but the only thing that popped in my head was Jumanji.
Were there?
I do believe there was a little bit.
Yeah, there
was
were
a,
dinosaurs
yeah.
in Jumanji. There were. It's not really a
man.
dinosaur franchise,
But
but,
no,
they
because
didn't
they-
get anything.
they
So
did-
Amanda French is our winner of the
Coming in
game.
clutch.
Yeah.
But to be
Amanda-
fair, they did make new movies, and I think the new movies did have probably more dinosaurs in them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't actually see the new movies, but I think Amanda French wins our game. And by process of elimination, Aiden and Aaron lose the game.
Darn.
Horrifically.
Darn.
With 0 points. So come out to see Amanda's show on April 5th, the 4 Eye Comedy Show at Plano House of Comedy.